So you're thinking about making a move to Sumner, Washington, but you're just not quite sold on it yet. Well, today I'm actually going to flip script and I'm going to tell you 5 reasons why I think you should actually reconsider Sumner, Washington as the place for you and yours. And we're getting after it right now. Hey, it's Austin, Chris, myself, and our team. We're getting phone calls, texts, and emails every single day from people just like you, and you, and you, and you. You're seeing the pattern here, and we absolutely love it. So whether you're looking at making your move to the greater Tacoma, Seattle area in the next 3 days or 3 months, shoot us a phone call, text, or an email so we can help you make that smooth move right here to Sumner. All right, an easy number 1 for reasons not to move to Sumner has got to easily be the weather. I mean, good Lord. I mean, right now it is what we call false fall, right? So this week or so, it's gonna be raining, a little bit colder, and then it's gonna jump right back into summer. So not only do you have the rain like this, but it goes away and comes back hotter, then it gets cooler and gets hotter. It's a constant juggle of what is this actually gonna be like here? You can see behind me right here on this painting, it says live like the mountain is out. I can tell you right now, when the weather is like this, the mountain is not out. I've driven by it like 10 times. There's no mountains to see because it's so cloudy and rainy. It rains here so often that I have to even be comfortable filming like this. This is kind of the typical state for Sumner, just overall, kind of rainy, kind of gray. Summer's here, of course, stunning and absolutely beautiful. But a lot of the year looks like this. Temperatures are gonna range somewhere between 35 and 77 for the majority of the year. But you're even gonna have a few days, like maybe 4 or 5, that crest the 90s. And it does feel a lot hotter here because we just don't have that happening a lot throughout the year. Even some of the days in the higher 80s feel pretty rough. You're also going to have about 10 more inches of rain than the national average here. And people always think that when they move here, it's the sheer amount of rain that causes a lot of problems. But guys, that's not it. It like basically barely drizzles. It just basically barely drizzles non-freaking stop. And of course, you're going to hit the big dark around Thanksgiving where you're only going to have like 9 to 10 hours of sunlight. You're going to wake up, it'll be dark. You're going to go to bed, it's going to be dark. That cycle is just going to repeat for the majority of the year. So if you cannot handle gray, if you can't handle overcast, if you can't handle wild weather patterns, Sumner, man, it just might not be for you. So after the weather, I think the second reason you should probably reconsider, or at least think before you make the move to Sumner, has got to be that it's just kind of a small town. There's not really a lot to do. Now, it's charming, it's quaint. Some of these little boutiques are cute. They have nice little shopping. They have cute little restaurants. But it is small town America that is nestled between Seattle and Tacoma. So if you're looking to enjoy the city, if you want to have the advantage of being in Tacoma or being in Seattle, that type of life is not going to be something that you're going to get here in Sumner. You're going to get little local mom and pop shops. You're going to get little 1 and 2 table restaurants. It's just not going to have that big city feel. And if you're wanting to go to the concert on Saturday night, or maybe the kids are busy, so you're like, let's sneak off to a movie, you're definitely having to leave town. Those options are not available here. In fact, one of the biggest attractions here is literally a farm. Yeah. They have like little seasons where they have tulips, they have rhubarb, because this is actually, the town is the rhubarb capital of the world. Shopping is super limited. Of course, there is, grocery stores and those absolute basic things, but you're not going to get a mall. You're not going to get much more beyond like the boutique type clothing that we have here in town in Sumner. Just any of that big stuff that, if you want to go back to school shopping with the kids, dude, I've got 5 kids. I cannot crawl through 5, 6, 7 boutiques with 3 girls to try to find wardrobes. And, while I love them, I'm also know I'm going to be paying a higher price. The other place that's kind of popular, there's a Purdy's, which has an arcade and a little bar. But guys, like that's the highlight, a farm and a bar with an arcade. So if you're looking for that more, you know, like city style lifestyle, Sumner's just not gonna have it for you. Reason number 3, Sumner might not be the best place for you is just the cost of housing in general. Now, Sumner, again, small town, not a lot to do around it. It's got pretty rough traffic, not a lot of restaurants. It's just kind of a little square right in the middle of Pierce County. That has a lot to do with like the home prices, right? Like you want to live somewhere where there's things to do and life is going on, and that helps drive up the price of homes. So it would probably shock you to know that Sumner itself has home prices that are 40% above the national average. That's right, town of 10,000 people, 40% higher. It literally blew my mind. In fact, when I was just looking at the cost of 3-bedroom homes in Sumner, I immediately just decided, you know what? Tacoma's kind of our go-to spot on this channel. So why don't we look? Why don't we see what a 3-bedroom house in Tacoma looks like versus a 3-bedroom house here in Sumner and see how they stack up. When I did that, I found out that the average sold home for the last month of data actually showed that homes in Sumner are on average $5,000 more expensive than they are inside of Tacoma. So if you're coming from a more traditional area of the country, like let's say the Midwest, maybe the South, Texas, even maybe certain parts of California, you're thinking you're going to get a pretty good deal out here because it's small town America living, right? Well, no, it's 40% higher. Now, what could you do with that extra money that you're spending here in Sumner, right? Like if we were able to get a home in a area that had maybe some more to do, then you could easily pick up a house and travel less for entertainment, possibly spend less for entertainment, and keep a little bit more money in your pocket. But if you're wanting to move out here to Sumner, you just need to be ready. You need to be aware that home prices are not going to be comfortable. And a lot of these homes are older too. So when I'm looking at those 3-bedroom numbers, those numbers are not on brand new houses. A lot of these homes are 50, 60, 70 years old. Now, of course, they're well kept, but good Lord. So, you know, if finding a home at a reasonable price, or, you know, if you're willing to maybe spend a little bit more money to buy a house, but you wanted to have it, you know, close to amenities, I don't think Sumner's a good one for you. We are out here in front of one of my favorite companies, Lululemon. Yeah, I love to work out. Yes, I wear Lululemon. It's actually the best stuff. But when you come to Sumner, this Lululemon is not for shopping. And that's point number 4.
Not shopping Lululemon, but
jobs. Jobs in Sumner, just not the best. There are a lot of warehouses up north here in Sumner. Places like Lululemon, Prologis, CTE Scientifics, and a ton more. Not to mention, Amazon has a warehouse out here with its own little distribution platform. But between the industrial parks, the Sumner School District, and the city of Sumner, jobs out here just, they're not that great. And so if you're not interested in working at the warehouse or being an environmental technician, a cop, or a teacher, you're probably driving out of Sumner to go to work. Here's the thing. If you've got to get to SeaTac or Seattle, first of all, SeaTac can be as little as a 35-minute drive, but not if you're heading first thing in the morning. Seattle's always going to be at least an hour. Just make that your rule of thumb. But here's the thing. 167 is literally always just a freaking mess. So if you take a job up north and you're going to be leaving Sumner and taking 167 up north, plan on just being stuck there. Not to mention, if you're going to be heading down to Tacoma for work, I would say, again, give yourself 25 to 30 minutes just to get into work. And then if you're leaving at a normal, let's say 5 o'clock time, bump that back up to an hour. So it's not just that there's, you know, not a lot of job opportunities here in Sumner that make the job market a little bit tighter. It's also really just the fact that if you're not willing to work in one of the limited industries here in Sumner, then you're pretty much going to be working retail, being a waitress, working at a bar, if you're not willing to drive for work. Most people who live in Sumner do not work in Sumner. Easy as that. So I would just say plan on not being able to work in the town that you live in if you come out here. As a real estate broker, I drive literally all over this place, guys, like everywhere. I drive an hour at a time. It kind of sucks, but it's also part of life. So if you can get a great job and you got to drive 30 minutes to it, it is what it is. That is the fourth reason why I think you should reconsider making a move out to Sumner. All right, I can't make this up. I just filmed that clip right there for you in front of Lululemon. And as I'm leaving, apparently it just got reported, big tattooed guy is out front with a camera taking pictures of the building. So the security guard came out there, had a great conversation, told him we're making this YouTube video, and he loved it. He gave me a big old fist bump. I probably should have jumped in the video, but it was great. All right, standing in front of City Hall and the police station is a perfect place to discuss number 5, why I think you should not move to Sumner, Washington, and that has got to be crime. Now, when I say crime, I particularly mean crimes of poverty. I do not mean violent crime. There are no rapes, murders, anything like that. In fact, there were only 17 reported incidents of violent crimes all last year. But where crime does really stand out in Sumner is crimes of poverty. In fact, crimes of poverty in Sumner actually are double what they are for the average in the state of Washington. Yes, that does mean in Seattle. Yes, that does mean in Tacoma, and it does mean in Olympia. And when you compare it to the national average, well, poverty crimes in Sumner are actually 3 times higher than the national average, meaning break-ins, larcenies, car theft, things like that stand out. Now, because this data is based on, the size of a town, there have been less than 400 incidences all year that were reported last year. So a little more than one, a day incidents of something happening here in town is a little concerning because, like we talked about in the pros and cons video, which I'm going to put right here in the corner for you, as these places are more and more expensive, people who end up in tough places, they tend to react. They tend to act out of fear and frustration, and they'll do things like they'll see a backpack and break a window out of a car. They will, see your front doors open, your kid left it open, and go in and snatch and grab. And that kind of stuff is just something that comes with really any place that is going to be more and more expensive. You're going to have people that are in worse places. So if something like poverty crime being 3 times more than what the national average is a concern for you, then Sumner might not be the best spot. All right, well, there you have it. The top 5 reasons I think you should not move to Sumner, Washington. But listen, if those don't seem to bother you and you still want to come out to Sumner, that's great. Or if you want me to help you find maybe a different neighborhood, a different town that more fits your needs, then I am super open to helping you out with that. I hope you learned a lot in this video. And don't forget, Chris, myself, and our team, we're getting phone calls, text, and emails, not to mention booked Zoom appointments every single day from people just like you. And we absolutely love it. So look, whether you're looking at making your move in the next 3 days or 3 months, shoot us a phone call, a text, or an email so we can help you make that smooth move out to Sumner or the greater Tacoma area. And until next time, I cannot wait until you're out here so I can show you around.